We're back in session.
Oh, well, oh, there we go.
So item C on action items. Approving digital proposal regarding central dispatch.
I will allow these fine gentlemen to address this item.
So this specifically is kind of a two-piece deal. There's a piece of equipment, there's also a contract portion of it. To start out with the conversation, they're a sole provider. There's no bidding, there's no competition. This is the only option. I do have experience with this in other locations, other geographic entities have used these devices. They work exactly as they're advertised. The simplistic explanation of this is it allows us to route our 911 phone calls to these phones, and we can go anywhere that has FirstNet cellular coverage. So that allows us a lot of mobility, and we're working on the other technology that we utilize in 911 to have that same mobility, meaning we can go anywhere and provide dispatch services in Benton County. We don't have that right now, that continuity. So if we lose service from a lightning strike, we cannot, 911 is just down in Benton
Lightning
County.
strike,
It
that's
will
never
get,
gonna happen, right?
it'll be routed to another agency, another entity. Right now is Grand Traverse because that's how the network is designed, but we don't want that. We want that to stay in Benzie County so that we can still efficiently provide the service that we need to provide. This will allow us to do that. To piggyback off of that, this is also going to allow us to have a little more reasonable gymnastics that we talked about earlier with the move. Without this, it's going to be very, very difficult to not have an interruption to 911 services when we move into the new space. With this, it will allow us to accomplish that. So there's kind of two needs. One's a pretty soon, pretty urgent need or short timeline need. The other one is a long term.
So with this equipment, just calls,
Just phone 911 phone calls. Yep.
so you won't be able to dispatch, you won't be able to record.
That will
anything.
be other technology that we are working to make mobile as well. So that's the end goal, is to be an all-inclusive, to have a mobile backup dispatch center. We're with this, I would say we're probably about 75% there already. So, but this is a huge piece. If we lose our administrative phone lines, not to say they're not important, but they're not as important as 911. If we lose 911 phones completely, we can't provide the proper service to the community.
So this gives you the ability to answer up to 2 calls at a time, correct?
Correct. Yep. And it can be expanded upon also if that growth happens and we identify a need for more. We can answer as many phone line or phone calls as there are physical phones, and we can grow this system to fit that need.
Looks like you found the funding for it. It seems like you've made an adequate case for the need.
Thank you.
There's no other questions. I'd make the,
Thank you.
as written, that the Board of Commissioners approves a proposal for InDigital for Mevo Anywhere mobile kits for priority calling when the need arises in the amount of $74.4308. And further approves an annual service charge of $2208.69 for a period of 5 years with funds available in the Central Dispatch Fund.
Mark, you will support.
There's motion and support. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Item D, consider authorizing summer road patrol contract with the Village Honor.
One correction to my memo, this contract doesn't include a speed trailer like the others. That was I forgot to take that out of the memo.
I'm assuming this is like all the other ones?
Correct.
Is there a fee?
10 hours per month on this one.
You're charging a fee?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't see it.
It's within the contract. It's based on hourly
Oh.
rates.
And you have the capacity.
It's the same deputy that fulfills the other contracts. He's able to do it without obtaining 40 hours or any overtime issues, so
So this doesn't impact your
Part-time.
scheduling.
No.
doesn't impact our
It's summer.
manpower scheduling shortage of any way, shape or form.
I'll make the motion with the Board of Commissioners approve the sheriff patrol agreements with the Village of Honor for the 2023 summer months, subject to approval as to form by legal counsel and authorizes the chair to sign.
Second.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Kurnat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes,
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item E, confirm purchase 3 portable radios for the sheriff's use, office use.
So these are radios that would include our 2 bailiffs, which are new positions here at the government center, and our central wellness deputy. These are expansions that we don't have. We don't have extra radios, portable radios for them to carry on their belt. So these are the request to, because of the cost, they have to obviously come to the board for approval. Money has been allocated through those, or will be allocated through those, budgets. So central wellness and court bailiffs.
So Central Wellness will reimburse for the cost of the one radio. And when you guys approved the additional bailiff endeavor, you approved funding to implement that as well. And so funding is in place for the other 2 radios.
You don't have a number? These three?
16,000.
Oh, 16,192.08.
Yep.
My motion says, outlined in the quote included, so that's why I didn't put a total amount, because
Well, I'll read that motion as written, that the Board of Commissioners confirms the purchase of 3 portable radios as outlined in the Motorola Solutions quote stated March 25th, 2023, with the funds available in the general fund sheriff's office equipment with reimbursement for 1 radio from Central Wellness, and that a budget amendment approving funding from Fund 282 for the cost of bailiff radios be approved.
I'll support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurnat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Item F. Authorizing an agreement in connection with employment matter.
So in effort to really work with an employee to hopefully see them through to success in keeping employment with Benzie County, we've entered into a last chance agreement. It's my understanding Benzie County has done a few of these in the past with employees. This is kind of that final step in the disciplinary coaching action that you would do with an employee. So this is just an agreement that the union signs, the county signs, as well as that employee saying that these are the expectations, and if these expectations are not met, the employment does go away, does end. So
Katie, what I'm trying to understand is that this is a personnel matter that reports either to the undersheriff or the sheriff. Why are we involved in this?
because it's a contract, it's technically, and the board has to approve the board chair and signing contracts. Because you're binding the county at this point.
And each time an employee falls under this action, we'd have to reapprove it. Is that right? This isn't a blanket approval.
Correct. This is just for one specific individual, and you as a board have to authorize the county to contractually obligate in any way, and that's why it's coming before you for approval.
Okay. I haven't seen it before, but I'm assuming others have.
You guys have done it in the past. We looked at old ones as well, just to look at this one. So this is something that has been done by Benzie. I've never heard of it in the past, but it is something that Benzie County has done, and it really is Benzie County showing their due diligence to see an employee through success rather than just terminating somebody.
And I agree with that. Let me ask the question a little differently. If it was a non-union position and you were giving them one more chance to rehabilitate, that wouldn't have to come to us then, though, would it?
If it's a agreement or a contract, it does have to come before the board. The board has to authorize any contractual obligation of the county. I know that's different from the past. It was done wrong in the past. This board is the only one with the authority to contractually obligate the county. This is an agreement that is binding the county.
And it not only benefits the employee, but the employer as well, because those are due diligent. Getting this writing.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure we are micromanaging anything that's so.
If it wasn't an agreement, it'd be different, but this board is the only one who holds that authority to contractually obligate the county. And so that's why, because it's an actual written agreement.
So I don't want to belabor this, but let me take my example again of a non-union employee. Is there ever a time where you've kind of given them a last chance final notice that there is an agreement in place, it's just documented in their file? Or is it always handled this way?
Typically handled this way.
I'm good.
I'd just like to add that this was drafted by the attorneys and
Yes.
it was recommended.
I asked how long this employee's been under.
Been-
Employed here.
About 2 years.
Hopefully it works.
And it sounds like you've walked through earlier steps and now you're finally at the place where, look, if you don't make this happen, we're gonna have to separate.
Correct.
I'll read the recommendation that the Board of Commissioners approves the last chance agreement prepared by legal counsel with a member of the Police Officers Association of Michigan and authorize the chair to sign.
9 seconds.
Motion and support. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Markey,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Janai,
Yes.
motion carried.
Good.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dominic.
Looking for that one word. Item G. What it was?
Was the word item or the word G?
No, court. I had it here, but I didn't have it. Budget amendment, clean slate grant.
So legislation has been put into place that is being commonly referred to as clean slate, and this affects our courts at all levels, district, probate, circuit. And so the clean slate legislation, which I'm sure our county clerk could go into better detail than I can. But basically this legislation is forcing the courts to do a lot of updating in their files and record keeping, because it's an automatic expungement for certain crimes for a person. And so the state has recognized this mandate of changes in the filing. And so they are making grant dollars available to the counties for the staff persons who are incurring additional overtime to implement this clean slate legislation. And so this budget amendment is simply that. It's recognizing the grant revenue and recognizing the additional expenditure, which is overtime for district court to implement this legislation to the full extent that Lansing is requiring us to do. So that's what this is for district court, specifically $8,564. There is money separately available for circuit court, which would be the clerk's office. And I've reached out to their regional office to touch base about that grant funding, because the grant funding has a timeline, and it sounds like based on the computer software systems that the circuit court has, they're not able to meet the timeline. And so I've reached out to the regional office to say, hey, what are we doing about this timeline? Because it's a reimbursement grant, so we can't just get the money. we have to prove that we have justified the use of that money and then they'll reimburse the county. So this is specifically for the district and probate court end, not the circuit court end. That one may be coming to you in the future. But again, it's a budget amendment to recognize the revenue and the additional overtime expenditures.
So Katie, the dollar amount that you indicated in here, is that a hard dollar or is it up
That's-
to?
That's our full intent is to do the full reimbursement.
And I appreciate that explanation because I did have those questions down here.
Yeah, this is
As
one of
far
those
as
mandates.
understanding what the money was for. With that said, I would recommend the motion that the Board of Commissioner approves the budget amendment in the amount of $8,564 for clean slate implementation, increase both revenues and expenditures related to district court.
Jeanette supports.
Motion and support. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
My only concern is this is strictly overtime. This was strictly supposed to be covered by the state to begin with, which is another joke and a half. But the reporting part of this, we don't get reimbursed till we submit it.
Correct.
Right.
And so Kim Nowak will be in charge of the reporting piece of it. And she has to report monthly to get the reimbursement, is my understanding. And then we'll receive that reimbursement EFT shortly thereafter the reporting. They provided the templates as to what the reporting should look like. So really, it's just a matter of filling in names and hours and dates into the template they provided. She sends it in and then they send an EFT transaction that Kelly Long will receive in the treasurer's office.
Kind of like Art said, the number just,
It's a weird
Well,
number they
yeah.
assigned us.
how do you come up with this?
Yeah.
So.
I'm not in the minds of those people.
Nobody is. Anyway, thank you.
But the reporting is all about confirming that the money's been spent,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
There was motion and support. No more discussion. Roll call.
Knight,
Yes.
Roloff,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Janai,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item H, consider approving proposal for fire alarm integration related to the leased space in the government center.
So back
Talk
when
about DHS.
DHHS, back when this addition was done, the fire alarm system within DHHS was different. It wasn't an integrated system in our system. Why, I don't know. That was a state decision. Well, now their system has failed, and rather than fix it, they went on ours. And as their landlord, we're required to. So, Rick was able to get 2 quotes. He wasn't able to get a third one because there's just really not, there's not people available to do that. So he was able to get 2 quotes to integrate their system onto our system, as well as add some additional fire alarms in this addition area, because it sounds like it's less than the rest of the building. And so in your packet, you'll see 2 quotes. We are recommending Summit Fire because that's who did the system to begin with. So obviously they're most cost effective because it's their system, but it's going to integrate all of DHHS as well as add a few extra in this addition portion of the governmental center. And there is funding available from their rent proceeds because as we talked about last fall, that money had been being set aside for things such as this. And you all decided that, yep, that's what we're going to spend that money on. And so there is funding available for this small project. I don't know why it was done the way it was
No, I'm
years
still
ago.
upset that they're not paying for this after they forced the other, so. The Board of Commissioners approves the proposal from Summit Fire Protection to integrate the fire alarms in the government center addition in the not to exceed amount of $9,564 with funds available in Fund 310.
Markey will support.
Motion and support. Further discussion.
One quick question, I think. From time to time, I hear that our insurance company sometimes provides funding for things that are proactive.
Yes,
Is this a qualifying event, do you think?
I'm not sure that this is considered proactive. because their system is failing and now we're integrating. Yeah,
Okay,
Well, it is improving the system.
it is improving the
And
system.
it's-
We can try,
And
but I don't know.
their thing is risk mitigation. If we can demonstrate that to our insurance company, they may say, well, yeah, we can.
We can try. We can try, definitely. I just don't know if this will be considered one of those, things.
the only thing I ask is that we don't try to pre-qualify ourselves.
Right.
Submit it, let them deny us or approve us.
We can do that.
Roll call, please.
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Janai,
Yes,
Markey,
Yes,
Nye.
Yeah.
Motion carried.
Item I,
Janai makes a motion to approve a 5-year lease agreement with Netlick Business Link Business Solutions for a Sharp Advanced Copy Machine for the prosecutor's office operational use and authorizes the chair to sign.
9 seconds.
there monetary value to this or not? Oh, turn it over.
There, there wasn't in the motion, no.
That's
Yeah.
on the back of my page.
Okay,
Motion and support for the discussion. Roll call, please.
Janai,
yes,
Markey,
yes,
Nye,
Yes,
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item J. Budget amendment for building department.
So we have exceeded the revenue and expenditure of what we budgeted for this fiscal year. For the building department, specifically for mechanical permits, and this is simply a budget amendment. Adjusting the revenue and expenditures so that we can pay those bills to AGS. I came up with $28,000 because based on what we've had so far, that would be the projected amount of revenue and expenditure we'd have for the rest of the fiscal. But good thing, we've gotten more revenue, bad thing, we didn't budget right. So, but this budget amendment will correct that.
Well, I think just in the past few years, has shown that has been a dip and now it's back on the rise
Yeah, it is.
for permit activity. So I'd look for motion.
come on, somebody.
Anybody?
Board of Commissioners approves the budget.
You need to eat a couple pieces of candy.
No, I don't. My sugar level's not that. In the amount of $28,000, recognizing additional revenue and expenditure for the building department fund mechanical inspector.
Second. Support.
Motion and support, further discussion, roll call.
Markey,
yes,
Nye, Roloff,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Janai,
Yes,
motion carried.
So unfortunately, I purposely did not submit my commissioner report. Only because I just wanted to bring up a couple of things for myself, appreciation to everybody that was able to make the Memorial Day celebration. Had a great time, great people. I think we made an impact on a couple of folks, so that's important to me. The young man that we recognized, Paul Miller, a graduate of Benzie Central, lost his life in Afghanistan, one of those sandboxes many years ago. His dad was with us at the memorial with his 67 Mustang that Paul and his dad had started on. His dad put it away for many, many years, and here a few years ago got it back out and finished it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So we were happy to have Jim Miller there. Mrs. Miller still is troubled. So she does not partake in any of those events, but I did run into her yesterday and she was very, very thankful that we were recognizing her son and her family and was glad we were able to do it. So it's hard for me to put those kind of things on paper and words. So but thank you all for being part of that. MAC Transportation is a new committee for me. I wasn't aware that I was on it, and haven't had the same thing here recently. You know, when I talked to Mac, she's like, well, you haven't attended. I said, I don't get one thing from you about any. Oh, well, I'm sorry. But I remember the first MAC Transportation meeting. And infrastructure. We talk more about transportation, 1.8 billion that's going in front of the Congress right now for discussion. and see if they're gonna approve it or chisel it away, but. And now that we've had this meeting, or I had this meeting a few weeks ago, they're off for 3 months, so I don't have to worry about them.
You'll forget again.
Area Agency on Aging, Northern Michigan. 2 weeks ago was our first in-person meeting since COVID started. I had a little frustration over that. I mean, you know how we all acted through the whole thing, but it's a 10 county, so I get part of that. But still, you know what Zoom meetings are like, and they're a pain sometimes. You get so many people and stepping on each other. It's was contacted about the 4th of July parade in Beulah and Frankfurt. If there's any veterans that want to walk in that, that's what they were asking for. That's about all for now. And I believe other than Evan, everybody else has filed their commissioner report. So
I just want to make a comment about the Memorial Day. First, I was kind of left with the impression that there's more people there in attendance than maybe there usually is, which is a great thing. But more importantly, and I hope you got my message on this, really pleased to see how you guys are bringing in youth. It's important that you have that succession. And I hope that you guys continue with that.
I appreciate that. And not that long ago, we had a pretty good relationship with the scouting, the whole Boy Scout thing. And I don't know if it's just the climate right now, but that's kind of slowed down, but we're really, really happy to be engaged with Benzie Central and Frankfurt. I slapped myself in the head for not getting a hold of the Frankfurt coach to have Frankfurt be part of that. This is a Benzie County memorial and not a Beulah or Benzonia memorial. So we'll make sure that anytime we have that, we get Frankfurt kids in uniforms, no different than our kids. I don't know how many there were, but 20 some. And they'll be ready to go, in September for the football game. So and we'll be spending more time with them as the time goes on. And I know they reached out and they've got a lot. Last year, they had quite a few kids wearing jerseys. This year they are full of them. So it's a good thing. The kids look forward to it. And it is a good thing because I've tried over the years. Many years ago, I reached out to the band director to ask him if the band or the small part of the band would come down and play on Memorial Day or Veterans Day. And he's like, nope. Good. No. Like, oh yeah, I know.
Oh, that's
Well, sometimes it has to do with the event and what's going on.
sad. That's very sad.
Yeah. So different strokes for different folks.
Well, I can tell you for myself, I always find that moving for personal reasons. And as I look around the people that are there, the older veterans, couldn't be more important for us to continue to acknowledge.
Here's one of the things that made my day. About 2 weeks ago, I was up to the Maples and did a walkthrough with the Grand Traverse County Commissioner. And I ran into Jim Sheets. He was rehabbing from a fall. And so Megan was giving us a tour. I said, Megan, how many veterans do you have? Knowing Jim's a veteran. She said, oh, I don't know. There's 7 or 8. I said, if any of them people are able, I would love to see them at Memorial Day. And I'll be darned if 4 Maples vans didn't pull up and unload with 7 residents. I tried to talk to every one of them, sat down because they were breaking up and getting ready to load. So, of course, no Jim Sheets, and there was somebody else that I knew, plus the other few guys that I talked to, and it was well, they escaped for a few hours, if nothing else. But it was absolutely heartwarming for me to see them out and about and at an event like that, especially Jim Sheets, because he was the township supervisor when we got into that whole entity and developing and did the property exchange, and he made it happen for us. So I'm told he is moving from the Maples to the Homesteader until he rehabs and hopefully can get back home. So onward and upward. Anybody have anything they want to talk about on their commissioner report?
We had a couple questions.
So Gary, you had noted in your road commission report that Platte River School is now being considered for. I thought there was an arrangement where there was a group looking to do housing.
It hasn't really fallen apart. Actually talking about maybe giving them a different piece of property.
Okay.
Closer to, was it Healy Road?
Okay.
Not sure. I want to get into the why, because I was not happy and neither was Mr. Rosa, so but it looks like the school is coming down, which was the total intent of the school system now to begin with. But
Really?
hopefully they applied for that grant, so we should know.
And then Karen, you had on your report, you had written that you attended the chamber meeting and with Betsy, but you hadn't written anything about them. I know the chamber was one you were considering if we should even be sending a commissioner to attend. Did anything important get covered at that meeting?
Not that I would share here. I mean, they do their business. They do it very well at what they do. I usually, and to your point, I usually speak rather early and then they ask me to leave. Or other things that they're speaking
Not a
about.
public meeting?
It is, I think it's when they talk about their finances.
Public
Meeting.
Yeah, can't ask you.
That's
But that has happened.
Oh,
I don't know if it happened with you, Art, weren't you a representative there once or liaison?
Yes, I was,
Okay.
but I was involved in all the discussions, so
Oh,
nobody ever asked me to leave.
Interesting.
Did have one thing I wanted to bring up. Just once again, recognize Jesse and the recycling. That was a really good system that they had over in Frankfurt. And they had to reevaluate because all the kids went to some track meet and the parking lot was full. So they were able to do it. He does a great job. I just want him to be recognized. Thank you.
Good, thanks.
So I do have a couple of questions for different presenters. In your report, can you talk about writing a description for liaison?
down in Kinship.
Yeah, what's that all about?
They are trying to come up with a liaison position for Kinship here in the county or using multiple counties. And they're looking at other liaison positions that are in Kinship because Kinship isn't really specifically covered under foster care or any other means. They're looking for a coordinator. So they're just trying to give more fodder to get support from the state or other agencies. From what I understand, the feds do give money for this type of care, but a lot of it goes to foster care instead of Kinship. And so they're trying to identify the need. There apparently is a need, but the statistics aren't so clear to justify that. So they're looking, it's Debbie Frisbee is doing a lot of the research. Jeannie Strathman is working on that too, but just trying to justify so they can tap into some of that money that we know is coming into the state. And this was their effort along with doing monthly meetings because a good percentage of the kinship care caregivers might be retired grandmother on Social Security, taking in a great grandchild or whoever. And so they're trying to legitimize and get the support, the funds that are coming into the state and see if we can get tagged on to some of that. But you need a lot of statistics for that.
But you're not talking about a liaison from our board to theirs.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. No,
Okay,
no.
All right, Gary, question for you regarding the Maples. You put in here, you say rolling reviews for clients of DHHS, no look back. What's that mean?
What it means is, with the 2 years of COVID or whatever it's been,
Mhm.
DHHS has basically slid all the requirements away. You had to reevaluate every year. Starting in June, they have to redo everything.
Nobody came off of Medicaid during.
Right, and there is no look back as to far as like, I guess I equate it to the unemployment issues.
Okay,
So if there was things happen during that time span, they're not gonna look back. It's going forward.
okay.
Things happening at Central Wellness.
They're not, the expression they've been using is clawback, so they're not trying to recapture money from people that put money out to already.
No.
Unlike the mistake they made with unemployment. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Yep.
Rhonda, you have a will update on the land bank and some.
She
wanna
was
do it?
going to address that.
Well, my meetings hadn't happened when I
Oh.
submitted my report. That's why I couldn't put it on there. So, the land bank, we just reviewed the inventory. We went over the 3 rounds of blight elimination. Those grant applications are moving forward. The land bank wants to hear from townships if there are sites that they want considered for these blight elimination grants. They would welcome that. And then the discussion revolved around inviting the Frankfurt Community Land Trust, Homestretch, and Habitat for Humanity to the next meeting. I would note that all forward motion in the housing front has been collaborative efforts of entities. So I'm kind of excited about that meeting to have everybody at the same table, sharing ideas. It'll be good. And then Central Wellness, Chip brought up MDHHS. He is a little upset. There was a statement issued that community mental health agencies are child placing agencies. They're not. That's in statute. And Chip responded assertively to that statement. He shared that Central Wellness is now a $20 million budget with 124 employees, 90 contracts. And they also shared that they saw a decrease in their cost for Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance renewals, and they were just notified of that. That's what I wrote down to share.
Thank you.
Tim?
I actually have some updates to mine as well. The Central Wellness, I was at that board with Commissioner Nye. Another thing that stuck out with me there is that the Chip Johnson is working with other CMHs to create a rural caucus. And they got the backing of the Central Community Mental Health Association of Michigan to help that effort. So their CARF audit, which is the Commission of Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities, went very well. They got 3 out of 3 stars. And then the Village of Honor attended last night. A representative from Dollar General was supposed to have been there with a presentation, and they were a no-show. And they're looking to put a Dollar General store up in Homestead Township, just east of the ice cream shop, and they want to tie into the village's sewer system.
Yes, Joe Mo's going up.
Yes.
the
Right next door to
Joe
Joe.
Mo.
Yep. Right in the.
I think by law, they have to be within 3 miles of each other.
But I law,
Put them
they're
in.
just within the, through the new one at Cherry Lane Grocery.
And I have a question, Gary, on yours. You said a Blaine Township update from Frankfurt District Library, discussion with the local road issue. Is that something?
Yeah, they have a road that's a problem, Alberta Resort Road. They're only 20 foot wide. There's been some construction. But he's blaming everybody else, needs some gravel, needs some work. And they were trying to come up with a solution for that. But being they're so narrow, they're impossible to plow. They have to put a special truck in there. And the way they're set up, the plow actually does more damage than good. So everybody's blaming everybody, and
Okay,
We'll see where that goes
responsibility
from
on
there.
that one.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
it's getting fixed.
And
There's
if I may, I just learned about this and maybe the other commissioners or the public know about this, but when I went to the drone demonstration on the 24th for the rescue drone for water rescues, I learned that Chief Cedarholm has a cadet program that maybe the schools have. I don't know if Benzonia has it or not, but Frankfurt does, where they actually do training for prepping students to be EMS and firefighters. And if I have this correct, I was surprised to hear on his small staff there, because Chief Cedarholm can teach classes and has whatever those certifications. And what's bringing this up is the shortage for police officers and such. At the fire department, if I'm not incorrect, 3 of his EMS kids, new people, were through the cadet program and local that now work in the city, and one of his firefighters. And I thought, I didn't know if that might fit somehow with police, but this seems to be a successful program for.
That's because people like firefighters and EMS.
Oh,
Exactly.
All kidding aside, all kidding aside,
For police.
Okay.
TBA up in Traverse has had police, and they have actually the CERT that Becky talked about earlier.
Yes, yes,
They've had that for,
Years.
my kids went to it 20 years,
okay.
more than that. So it's not that there's not programs out there, it's that nobody wants to do it.
Okay,
We can't,
Like we're seeing
nobody
a
wants to do
TV.
it.
wants to do those nowadays.
And Karen,
Okay,
talking with Chief Cedarholm, we were looking at the fire chiefs kind of in Michigan or Benzie County, not all of us, but some of us are trying to talk with the schools and maybe putting in a fire academy at the schools. And the idea is to get kids that are in high school, when they're done, potentially have them ready to take the state test to become a firefighter or an EMT.
right. And that's what this was leading up to. And I just thought, because we've talked about education quite a bit, and I thought that's perfect, reaching at that. And it was just kind of a side comment while I was there for the demonstration that I learned of the success with this. The other thing is the high school last night at the school board meeting, they said they have more people applying for their early childhood education program to work towards those types, or that they always have more people applying than they have spaces available. So I thought, okay, that's starting at kind of grassroots, but it might address one of the issues that have been brought up many times in our surveys for child care. And so that's another good thing. Sorry about my voice. This is allergy season for me.
Anybody else? Katie?
I'll make it really quick. Point Betsy is accepting public comment right now for the restoration project. This is part of the project being that it's a historical site and Eagles involved. There's a public comment period similar to what is going to be done for the Robin grant. So on the homepage of our website, there's links as far as giving your public comment on the project as it's being presented. The Army Corps is seeing that through, but it is public comment period if you want to comment on the restoration project for Point Betsy. The website has been horribly delayed, which has made me very angry, but next Tuesday, I am meeting with the web host to look at the final new website, make a few more tweaks, and then hopefully we'll go live very, very soon. It looks great. We just have to make a few more tweaks to it. Apparently there were some issues on their end with migrating the website because of the size and the age of our website. So, but very, very soon, it will go live. I am meeting with them next week. So we should have a new website very, very soon, which is exciting.
Katie, on that subject, what would you do to make sure the staff knows how to fully utilize the website so that they're not downgrading it out in the community.
Like training on how to edit the website or just?
No, no,
the
no.
Website.
It's just how to navigate it. What I've historical experience has told me that employers implement stuff, employees aren't fully knowledgeable about it. So then they talk negatively about it in the community. You're always better off to make sure they understand how to navigate it so they can be positive in their observations.
So the website, the design of it went out to staff so that staff could give their thoughts on how to make it more navigable. But really their pages are up to them. So it's up to them to make their page what they want it to be so that they're not speaking ill of the website. We've also taken a design approach that mirrors almost every single county around us. So people who are searching counties in the region, they're going to see ours and see that it's very, very similar. It has our own look and feel as far as colors and pictures and those sorts of things. But our website will navigate the same as Grand Traverse, Manistee, all of those other websites. And that was done specifically to help the community and help staff in learning our website and using our website because it's like everybody else's. So I think we'll be okay.
So you gave an opportunity for staff to contribute to this.
Yep, when we did the original design, we had sent that out to the various folks for them to give comment, just like we sent it out to you all to give comment as well, as far as the look and the feel and those sorts of things. So I'm hopeful that it'll be a better website and that staff will be happy with the changes. But when it comes to their pages, that's really up to their department. They manage their pages.
Okay.
Any other questions on the website? We officially received notice from the Department of Treasury that we've been released from the corrective action plan for equalization. So kudos to Brianne and Polly for making that happen. They were very impressed by the progress that our office downstairs made. So it's really good news for Benzie County. We're no longer in that corrective action plan. Brianne is doing wonderful down there. She has a new staff person down there who's also doing wonderful. And so we're really proud of that office and the barriers they've overcome in the last 6-8 months. So it's very exciting times for them. You saw in Commissioner Nye's report that we met with representatives of the Crystal Lake Watershed Association at their request to talk about Sunkist and various things. You know, a lot of it is they're concerned with the process and how the process went. And so in that meeting, we talked about trying to pull together some sort of group that meets on what kind of timeline, I'm not sure yet, but pulling together the administrators of all the local jurisdictions. So the village presidents, the township supervisors, the city superintendent, pulling together those groups and just talking about those high level things that happen in the various jurisdictions so that steps aren't being missed. And so that coordination is happening across the board when it comes to building permits, soil and erosion, all those different things. So I tried to do that when I first came here and I nobody wanted to meet. So I'm hoping now that it's been a couple of years and people know me and know where the direction we're heading with the county, that townships are more susceptible to coming to the building and just having maybe a quarterly meeting to talk about what's going on in the various jurisdictions. So we have that collaboration across the board. So that hopefully will be coming very soon. And just the last thing, you may have seen it in the newspaper. I was elected to the board of directors for the Michigan Association of County Administrative Offices. So sorry if I'm attending those meetings when you try to call. So
Is that a high paying position?
it is a 0 paid position.
I do want to comment regarding the Sunkist project and the Joint Planning Commission. All of us got a copy of that communication that went out for the commissioner's benefit. Rhonda and I have been in communication. We're coordinating a response to that group so that we're consistent about it. But I think, Rhonda, you agreed we needed to get some more information before we could effectively respond. Our goal, I believe, is to try to respond this week yet.
Yeah. I've been in conversations with Jim Zimmerman downstairs many times. He's provided me all the permits and all the different things that he has. I don't think there was, they didn't do anything wrong downstairs, but I think the big issue was just coordination and collaboration among the different agencies. They came to the table and they wanted to, talk about road commission and the health department and what can the county do? And I'm like, well, they're not really our departments. There's, subunits, and so they handle their own things. And so really what came out of that meeting is there just needs to be more collaboration among everybody, because maybe some of these things could have been avoided if there was more collaboration.
But my research indicated there wasn't a whole lot missed.
No, there wasn't anything
And-
missed.
The whole thing is emotion.
Correct.
And when that happens, everything goes south. Need to reiterate the fact that years ago, when they dropped planning and zoning, 2010, they had asked every township and if they wanted to take it to the county to have money given to do this.
Right.
And the answer was no.
Right.
So I hate to see that because somebody's upset about something. You're never going to make everybody happy. You do the best you can. And I really had a hard time finding anything wrong with what was done.
Right.
And
Permits were obtained,
right,
there's no statutory obligation for there to be a sequence of how certain permits are obtained. And so I think that's part of the beef is, the health department's permit came much further after than the building permits. Well, statutorily, you don't have to do them in a certain line. Is it good practice? Of course. But it's not required. And so, that was one of the issues. Obviously, soil and erosion has become an issue. But I have proof of permits dating back to like 2020 for this piece of ground where soil and erosion permits have been issued all along. So yes, it's a lot of differences in personalities and emotions. But there's always something to learn from something like this, whether it's emotional or not. And I do agree that maybe having that checkpoint of all the, supervisors and presidents and those sorts of people coming around the table just to talk about best practices and communication, I think is a good thing.
I wish you luck.
I know I tried 2 years ago. I'm going to try again.
Okay, yeah, I hate to see people get so upset.
Agreed.
It accomplishes nothing.
I
Part
don't
of
have
it's,
anything.
part of it's poor communication and understanding. Part of it did, I think, bring to the surface their ability going forward to handle more projects at one time.
Mhm,
And these are things that they're discussing internally right now,
mhm.
as I understand it. Have you heard anything different?
Go
Alrighty,
ahead.
no minutes from the study session 5/9/23. No committee appointments, unfinished business. New business, presentations. Final public input. You don't have anything in. We
That's
we
it.
intentionally waited this long, just. All right, we'll close public input and look for a motion to adjourn.
No moved.
And second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. So moved.
Since